going to go ahead and get started. Depends what clock I'm looking at if I'm on time. So let me, I knew that was here for a reason. Good. Patty, thanks for the gavel. All right, we are going to get started. Welcome to the April 8th, 2025 edition of the Salinas City Council. Meeting is now called to order. Patty?
Spanish translation is available for members of the public in attendance and on Zoom. Translation devices can be obtained in the foyer. Esta reunión está disponible en español para los miembros del público y en Zoom las unidades de traducción se pueden obtener en la entrada de la rotonda.
All right, and Zoom webinar participation is available for members of the public. The Zoom webinar ID and link are available on the posted agenda on the city website. And with that, will everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Could you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Barajas?
Present.
Councilmember Barrera?
Here.
Councilmember Diorigo?
Present.
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Here.
Councilmember Salazar? Councilmember Sandoval? Here. Mayor Donahue?
I am present.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, do we have any new employees to introduce? Lisa Britton jumps to the podium, so she's got
Yes, we
some.
do. Good afternoon, Mayor, members of the City Council. It's my pleasure to introduce Son Fam Gallardo. She comes from the County of Monterey and joins our current planning division and community development as a senior planner. She'll be focusing on processing the more complex discretionary permits as well as overseeing cannabis programs. So we welcome Son Fam Gallardo.
Thank you. I assume we asked the county nicely if we could hire her? Good. We're glad you're here. Rumor has it we need some planners. All right, who else do we have? Okay. Who am I looking for? Okay. I'm looking for the Assistant Police Chief, and we have found him.
Good afternoon, City Council members, Mayor, City Attorney. As far as the Police Department, we have two new hires. First new hire is Matthew. First new hire is a police recruit, Matthew Clary, who will be attending the Police Academy in May. And we had a lateral officer from San Jose PD that came down, wanted to join our ranks as Jonathan Flores. He's a lateral officer that will be, actually, he's already starting the street. So, yeah, two new employees.
Good, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm told that is it for new hires, so welcome. With that, we're going to do some proclaiming. It is National Library Week, and I am looking for Timothy Kelker, our and I apologize if I didn't get the name right, our deputy librarian. And let me make sure I get I've got distracted driving here too, and I don't think that's you. So anyway, let me give you, boy, you've got a lot of whereases, which speaks to the importance of the library. So whereas the Salinas Public Library provides the opportunity for everyone to pursue their passions, engage in lifelong learning, and promote the free exchange of information and ideas for all, and whereas libraries have long served as trusted institutions for all members of the community, regardless of race, ethnicity, creed, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or socioeconomic status. And I'm gonna jump down a little bit to whereas libraries are accessible and inclusive places that promote a sense of local connection, advancing understanding, civic engagement, and shared community goals, and whereas the City of Salinas and the Public Library recognize the valuable contribution made by its librarians and library workers by celebrating National Libraries Worker Day on April 8, 2025, and whereas the Salinas Public Library, along with its librarians and library workers, are joining library supporters and advocates across the nation to celebrate National Library Week. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Dennis Donahue, on behalf of the Salinas City Council, do hereby proclaim April 6th through April 12th as National Library Week and encourage all residents to visit our libraries to explore the wealth of resources and services available. And with that, if you have a comment, I bet you know just how many of our residents do take advantage of our terrific library system.
Yes, we have 33,000 of our residents take advantage of our public libraries, and I think it is no secret that great staff make for great public libraries, and we have absolutely amazing staff here at the City of Salinas that work in our public libraries, and they make one of the best libraries in the country, I believe. And we have many of them here today. I think we have over a dozen staff that have come out. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members.
You bet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the proclaiming, and then we'll invite everyone up, and then proclamation by group, picture, then we change the set again, next proclamation. So don't go far. You'll be on front and center shortly. So that's number one. And then I am looking, well, apparently Commander Bravo, you're working overtime on this visit to the council. We're going to recognize Distracted Driving Awareness Month, which is April 2025, and I suspect you're going to remind us it's pretty important, but let me give you a few whereases. Whereas more than 1,000 injury crashes involve distracted driving on an average day, and the economic toll of all motor vehicle crashes in the U.S. annually exceeds $400 billion, and whereas a 2025 Office of Traffic Safety Public Opinion Survey found 74.2% of Californians identified distracted driving, texting, or talking as their biggest traffic safety concern on California roadways. And then I'll skip down to a couple of the whereases, and then I know you'll have a personal and local comment for us. Whereas the National Safety Council and the City of Salinas both work to promote policies, practices, and procedures leading to increased safety protection and health in communities. And whereas spring is a time where people begin to log more miles on the road, it is imperative to focus attention on motor vehicle injury risk and prevention. And so now therefore I, Mayor Dennis Donahue, on behalf of the council, do proclaim April 2025 as Distracted Driving Awareness Month, and urge all drivers to practice safe driving behaviors and pledge to drive distraction-free. So any comments?
Yes, Mayor. As you mentioned, it is Distracted Awareness Month in April. When it comes to distracted driving, texting, talking on the phone, eating, playing with the radio, those are all lead to accidents, as you know. So this month we make it a focus to emphasize on distracted driving to prevent those accidents that we have in our communities. So all I can say is drive safe and avoid those distractions in order to avoid any accidents out there.
I appreciate your comments, and I'll quickly throw in the ride-along I did a few weeks ago. I happened to run into the officer who does your traffic division, and and just to put this in perspective for Salinas, we had more traffic fatalities than we did homicides last year. And I asked the officer, I said, what do you attribute that to? And he said, well, first, distracted driving. So this is probably a little more important than it first might first sound. So we appreciate you being here, and hang out, and we'll get a photo shortly. So,
thank you.
Thank you. You bet. All right, and then let's see. Okay. All right, and last, we want to recognize the YWCA of Monterey County. They'll be taking this plaque. April is also Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and let me just a couple of the highlights of the plaque. Whereas the month of April is designated as Sexual Assault Awareness Month, a time to raise awareness, educate, and take action to prevent sexual violence and support survivors. And whereas Sexual Assault Awareness Month provides an excellent opportunity for citizens to learn more about and to enact change in order to prevent sexual violence. And whereas sexual assault affects women, children, and men of all ages and racial, cultural, and economic backgrounds. And then I'll jump down to, whereas the 2025 theme is Together We Act, United We Change, No one person, organization, or community can eliminate sexual assault on their own, but we can work together to educate what can be done to prevent sexual assault, support victims, survivors, and their significant others, and increase support for agencies providing services to victims, survivors. And whereas everyone has a right to be safe, and ending sexual violence requires the leadership of survivors, allies, support of public and collaborative law enforcement, justice systems, public health officials, and our community members. Now, therefore, I, Dennis Donahue, on behalf of the Salinas City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2025 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month and encourage all residents to learn more about how to end sexual assault, sexual harassment, and violence against individuals in Salinas through prevention programs and public policy. And I think I'm looking for somebody from the YWCA. And there she is.
Thank you. And then I also wanted to share if there's any individuals that you would like to refer to our agency or are seeking our services, they can connect with us at our main office, and the number would be 831-422-8602. We also do operate a 24-hour crisis line, and the number is 831-757-1001. Thank you.
Okay, we appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. Why don't we we'll start with you, our recipients.
Mr. Mayor, can we do the city of Champions?
We can do that. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're going to do City of Champions, and then we'll do all the photography work. So thank you for catching that, Tony.
Well, this evening, it gives me great pleasure to introduce a good friend, a family friend. I'm going to ask Frank and Mary Bustos, if you can stand right there in front of the podium, please. Frank and Mary have been very involved in the Alisal, especially Cluster Park. You know, a lot of the, whether it's basketball courts, the bleachers, restrooms, every time there's something that needs to get fixed or needs to get done, I got Frank calling me, and Tony, we need to do this. Frank has lived across the street from Cluster Park for 63 years. Let me tell you something. And he's got a very young wife, Mary, there, but let me but Frank Bustos is going to be 89 years old this October 4th. And maybe later on, Mary can say something about the other side of Frank. But Frank has worked for Alco Water for 65 years, and he's still employed with Alco Water. 65 years working with the same employee, so he doesn't know about layoffs or anything like that. And on April 17th, which is about 9 days from now, Frank and Mary are celebrating 65 years of marriage. I mean, that is awesome. And yeah. Bought a house. Frank and Mary bought their house close to Cluster Park in 1963. And this is a story that he shares with me. He paid $14,900 for his house. His monthly payment was $75 a month. And he said he couldn't sleep some nights because it was a lot of money. $75 a month. And you know, Frank and Mary, you've been a blessing to our city. A lot of the children who are now teenagers and even adults. We want to thank you for your good work. But before we let you say something, there's a representative from Alco that was going to say something on your work ethic. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Podium.
In my work ethic, he just rides around the run.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council members and citizens of Salinas. On behalf of Alco Water Service and Tom Adcock, we just wanted to, you kind of mentioned it, Councilman Barrera, but Frank has been with Alco Water Service for 65 years now, and he did start Alco Water Service on his birthday, and he continues to do so, and I'll have you know that the citizens of East Salinas have had reliable, safe drinking water because of his diligent and hard work ethic. And through the support of Mary, he's been a great community member and helping with Cluster Park renovations and continues to be an outstanding community member. So just thank you very much for your service, Frank, and Mary as well. That worked out great for us.
Mary, would you like to say something on behalf of your husband?
Huh?
Would you like to say something? Frank?
Well, I'm not young. I'm 90, gonna be 90.
Okay.
And
You guys are doing
we've been
great.
married- we would have been married longer, but I didn't want to get married to him when he was in the Marines.
Yes.
So, and then we bought a new house, but we ended up with the old house, but I like it.
Yes, great.
We didn't have no car, nothing, it was hard.
But now
So
you have
we
an
moved
awesome
there.
truck.
We had to sell our new house and come to Norwood,
Yes,
but we've been there happy, you know,
great.
and had 2 kids, 2 boys and 4 grandkids.
Yeah, great.
But we lost one and a grandson.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Frank, did you want to say something?
Yes, thank you very much, City of Salinas. Tony?
No, thank
my dear
you.
friend,
Thank you, Frank.
for everything.
Frank, in this is a celebration of you and Mary.
Mr.
Bi-
Mayor, thank you very much.
Yes.
Gloria de la Rosa, mi amiga.
Yes, and Frank, hold on there. The City of Champions, you folks are really champions of our community. We want to thank you for your valuable and lasting dedication, not only to Cluster Park, but you are very involved in St. Mary's Catholic Church. You folks are people of faith. And if some of you folks in the audience want to know their longevity, eat a lot of Mexican food. That's where it's at. So let's give them a big round of applause and we can.
All right, now the photography. All right, why don't we start with the City of Champions? Come on up, and Tony, you can present the award. All right. We are now open for public comment on items that are not on the agenda and that are in the City of Salinas' subject matter jurisdiction. Comments on consideration, public hearing items, and the consent agenda should be held until those items are reached. Public comments generally are limited to 2 minutes per speaker. I am going to, I'll tell you what, I'll put a time limit of 45 minutes on public comment. It looks to me 2 minutes will work. And so we are now open for public comment on any items not on the agenda.
Good after eve, everyone. Mayor, city attorney, city manager, city council, city employees. My name is Kimberly Bryant, and I'm here to offer a blessing, the Lord's Prayer, over our city, over the council, over the people in the room, over everyone over in Zoom land and YouTube watching. Please bow your head, and if you know the prayer, please pray with me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, and deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the glory, and the power forever and ever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Thank you so much for your service and for everything that you do for our city. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next.
Well, that's rather a hard act to follow.
It always is.
My name is
does it on
Sally
purpose.
Backus, and I'm here to request that Mayor Dennis and the City Council put on an agenda very soon a review of the Rent Stabilization Act. Our company has lost a number of clients already since December, pulling their rental properties out of Salinas because of the implementation of that act. That hurts our company. It also hurts the residents of Salinas and the prospective tenants in Salinas. So that's my request, to put it on the agenda as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ally.
Good afternoon. Mayor Donahue, Salinas City Council, City Manager Mendez, Larry Hirohara, Salinas Chinatown. On April 26th, the 16th Annual Asian Cultural Fair will be held in Salinas Chinatown. I invite you and the City of Salinas to attend this annual collaboration of the Asian communities at venues in Chinatown. I have included a flyer with scheduled events for your review. Nowhere is there a unique event like the Asian Cultural Fair that Chinese, Japanese, and Filipino communities showcase their culture and history together. There will be cultural entertainment, historic ethnic displays, and of course, food. There is an opportunity for the public to visit the places that we Asians consider our home and legacy. A featured event highlighted is our guided walking tour of Chinatown that talks about the history of each venue, the history of Chinatown, and the showcasing of the Republic Cafe with the city as its partner as the future home of the Historic Cultural Museum that will archive that history. Unfortunately, I need your assistance to make the view of the Republic Cafe one that is at least presentable. Currently, we tolerate some encampments in Chinatown, but the situation in front of the Republic Cafe is intolerable to bring guests to show the revitalization of Chinatown, as shown in the photo I provided for you. This is not just about cleaning up for the Asian Festival. There needs to be a long-term solution to that problem, and I implore you to begin that process. Thank you for your help. Contact me if you need any further details. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Larry. All right, next.
Okay, good evening, City Council members, City Manager. City Attorney. I'm John from District 3. I wasn't able to make the last meeting where the housing element was discussed. I did get a chance to review it. I'd like to comment on components of that. One, I think the evening's board discussion missed some key important points regarding inclusionary housing units. The 1,960 affordable, very low income and low income units, of those, only 6 were permitted. With regard to new applications, only 51 were for VLI units, very low income units. The majority of the housing effort and the discussion that evening went into ADUs for above moderate income units, over 98% of the permits. In addition, no refill permits were processed. Why is this important for all of us? Is that Salinas sorely needs affordable housing at the lower end of the market, and there are risks of not hitting these RHNA goals. Risks like litigation fines and constraint of local control of development, like the builder's remedy resulting from AB 1893, which went into effect January 1st. What I'm asking for is more in a new kind of leadership on affordable housing. For example, the council should prioritize affordable housing by actively engaging more developers who specialize in low-income projects. 2, revisiting policies such as the rental registry and the short-term rental ordinance for compliance. 3, given the new rent stabilization ordinance appropriate time to show us quantitatively how this is addressing affordability challenges. Presumably data is being collected and will be reported in October. And then 4, increased supervision of the city's inclusionary housing percentage requirements, incentives for affordable developments like higher density developments and infill development so as to we can reach RHNA goals. These findings underscore the need for more proactive leadership to address Salinas' affordability crisis. I sent this to you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and City staff. Thank you all for your time and thank you for your hard work. I'm sorry that I missed the last meeting regarding the housing goals. That would have been much more appropriate, but I'm here today since I had a schedule conflict then. My name is Adam Pinteritz. I'm the Government Affairs Director for the Monterey County Association of Realtors, but I am also a renter who is raising a family here and who is looking actually right now for a better place to live because we've been in the same old apartment since long before we started a family, so it's really too small. And I share that only because if you've looked for a rental, have any of you looked for a rental lately? It's quite difficult to find, quite difficult to apply, and quite difficult to get in. So what we already have is a pre-existing problem of availability. I've been tracking the data of multifamily housing sales since the implementation of the rent stabilization, tenant protections, and tenant harassment ordinances. Roughly speaking, since the conversations around those ordinances began, rates of multifamily housing sales have roughly doubled. And right now, at this very moment, in East Salinas alone, I know of over 100 units that are currently in the process of being sold. So that's at least 100 units where I'm concerned for the renters because chances are it's only worth it to the buyer if the tenancy gets turned over as well. So is Salinas ready for 100 displaced families or individual renters, whatever they may be? No, because we're not ready for even just half a dozen. So I implore you to re-examine the rental policies of this city, focus on policies that will actually help renters, such as a rental assistance program. And in the long term, we cannot regulate our way out of a housing supply problem. So we have to deal with building more housing. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Adam.
Mayor, City Council, my name is Starla Warren. I'm a affordable housing developer and currently Executive Director for the Monterey County Housing, Inc. I'm here to also speak on the rent stabilization ordinances. There's 4 of them. I'm not going to be able to quote the exact name of all 4, but their intent is all to create some coordination of policy for the city of Salinas. I'm sure it was well-intentioned. However, I think there's unintended consequences. For instance, we do have our units managed by a third-party property management firm, and once these ordinances went into place, we had to not renew an 83-year-old couple's lease in order to avoid the impact and implications of these ordinances. which was as a result of their 5 adult children moving in with them in a 1-bedroom apartment. So it constrained the ability for our property manager to manage the property without going awry of the new ordinance. So I would also like to implore the city council to reconsider these ordinances and explore some of the issues that the private sector has with it. In addition, you know, this was put forward when I was on the board for the chamber, for the Salinas Valley Chamber, and it was implied that it was going to be a tool to deal with the bad actors in terms of landlords and to eliminate blight. And what in fact it's going to do is create more blight. So I have a development in East Alisal, and it's, you know, regulated, so maintenance and capital improvements are all, you know, written and recorded, but at least 100 or maybe 200 units around that in East Alisal off Del Monte are units, developments that fall under the jurisdiction of these ordinances. They will not be able to increase rents to cover their basic monthly costs. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Darla.
Buenas tardes, señor alcalde y señores concejales. Mi nombre es Jesús Verduzco, soy retirado, también soy votante y voté por la concejal de Arrigo. Vivo en el Distrito 3 y estoy esperando que el dueño de los apartamentos donde vivo me diga si soy elegible por algún reembolso durante el año 2024, ya que recibí un aumento de $100 por ese año. Y yo sé que la ordenanza de estabilización de la renta es retroactiva hasta el 12/31/23. Entonces quiero pedirle a la señora de Arrigo, muy respetuosamente, que considere que así como yo tengo problemas para pagar una renta alta, habemos muchas personas en Salinas con la misma situación económica, y que reconsidere seguir apoyando a la ordenanza de la estabilización de la renta. Muchas gracias.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Jesus Verduzco. I am a resident of District 3. I am asking for Councilmember Dorigo to assist me in the time that I'm spending right now. Where I'm living out currently, I'm asking to see if I will be receiving a reimbursement for 2024. My rent actually just increased $100 for this year. I wanted her to see if she could reconsider for the ordinance for rental and for this year. Then I want to ask Councilmember Dorigo, my representative of the City Council, for her assistance with what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Buenas tardes, alcalde y concejales. Mi nombre es Sofía Alvarado, vivo en el Distrito 1. Soy trabajadora campesina por temporada. Tengo 30 años trabajando, mis ingresos son muy bajos y trabajo muy duro, y el esfuerzo que hago es muy duro en la calor y en la lluvia. Trabajo cada día para poder pagar los altos costos de vivienda, especialmente la renta. Quiero pedirles que me siento afortunada con las protecciones y la ordenanza de estabilización de alquiler y protecciones para inquilinos. Mi familia y yo hemos sido beneficiados por esta ordenanza, y he platicado con familias de los vecindarios de la ordenanza y están más tranquilos y seguros de no ser desalojados. Ahora he escuchado que este nuevo concilio quiere revisar esta estabilización con el propósito de hacer cambios. Ahora, como servidores públicos que ustedes decidieron ser, les exigimos que representen a su misma gente de la mejor manera posible para que no haya cambios en este concilio por nuestra comunidad. Gracias.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Sofia. I live in District 1. I am a field worker who works part-time. I've been working for over 30 years, and my income is very low. I work super hard, and I work day and night, whether in the rain or in the sunshine. I work so I can maintain my family, but with these high costs, it's especially hard, especially for rent. I want to share with you all that I feel very fortunate and safe with the protections of the rental ordinance. My family and me, we have verified amongst all of each other that this ordinance has helped us move forward. This has helped protected us to make sure that we're not lose our housing. Now that I have heard that this new council would like to reestablish this and revisit the ordinance, we tend to feel a little bit scared. I would like to implore to you that we continue, we keep this rental ordinance to make safeguard our housing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Buenas tardes a todos, concejales y alcalde. Yo estoy aquí para dar mis testimonios porque yo estoy pagando renta. Con la ordenanza que pasó el año pasado, que fue aprobado el año pasado, yo salí uno de los beneficiarios. En lugar de 10% que me estaba aumentando cada año, ahora pagué 50 y tantos dólares. Eso me ayudó mucho para ahorrar y usar ese dinero para pagar otros biles que necesito pagar. Y por esa razón yo estoy aquí para dar testimonio y también, bueno, fuera, si hubiera un control de renta, ¿sí? Porque un control de renta pone un límite de renta que tienes que pagar, pero no, esta ordenanza que pasó el año pasado es un alivio que nos ayuda a nosotros que estamos pagando renta. Eso puede beneficiar a hasta miles de personas que viven aquí en Salinas, ¿sí? Y no solamente esta ciudad tiene esta ordenanza, hay otras ciudades que ya lo tienen y otras ciudades no hay quejas, no hay un reporte que los dueños están yendo a otra ciudad o que están vendiendo. Y déjame decirle una cosa, muchas veces los dueños están abusando o están poniendo pretexto, voy a vender mi casa, necesito que salgan todos. O voy a remodelar mi casa o mis apartamentos y necesito que salgan todos. Y con ese pretexto, porque esas familias ya tienen años viviendo ahí y no pueden aumentar de 10%. Por eso prefieren contratar nueva familia para que paguen más. Ese es el pretexto en realidad que están usando los dueños ahora. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm here to offer my testimony to you guys. I pay rent. The 10% increase that we have chosen for the rental stabilization every year has helped me. Instead of going up 10%, I only went up $55. This ordinance has helped me a lot. That helped with me paying my rent to be able to manage my bills. Since this has been implemented, it has caused made me feel safe. A lot of the landlords are against this because that makes them not be able to increase the massive price hikes. A lot of landlords were able to take advantage of this, and instead they are opting now to kick families out so they can increase their rent amongst all the residents. Please keep this rental ordinance as other cities have and have not seen any other issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Marisela Ramírez. Yo trabajo con la organización Centro Binacional para el Desarrollo Indígena Oaxaqueño. Yo hablo mixteco y español y soy del municipio de San Martín Peras, en el estado de Oaxaca. Nosotros en nuestra oficina trabajamos con diferentes comunidades indígenas, mixtecos, chatinos, de diferentes comunidades. Entonces, hemos escuchado de la estabilización de renta que pasó, de estabilización de alquileres que pasó. Han llegado muchas de las comunidades felices de que haya pasado y que también el concilio haya aprobado esto para la comunidad, porque sabemos que muchas de las comunidades que viven aquí trabajan en el campo, entonces es un gran alivio para la comunidad que apoyaran a esta estabilización y estamos escuchando que que quieren hacer cambios, entonces pues hay que pensar un poquito más en nuestra comunidad y pues la comunidad que ha llegado a nuestra oficina, la verdad sí están muy agradecidos Y también aquí tenemos algunos miembros de la comunidad mixteca que van a pasar a hablar, pero sí les pedimos al concilio que pues piensen un poquito antes de mover cualquier cosa, ¿no? Porque en este año no ha pasado ni 3, 4 meses y ya lo quieren mover. Entonces, pues le pedimos que piensen en la comunidad también, porque pues creo que para eso estamos. Gracias. Centro Binacional para el Desarrollo Indígena Oaxaqueño. Binacional.
Good afternoon. My name is Marisela Ramirez. I'm from the Centro Binacional Oaxaqueño. Our office works for the indigenous groups amongst the city of Salinas, and I came here to implore to you guys that we keep the rental ordinance. Many of our committee members have came to us and mentioned how happy they are to have an ordinance that protects them and their housing. I would like to tell you guys that let's keep working together in order to keep this ordinance and keep going to show the importance of it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Buenas tardes a todos. Buenas tardes a todos y mi nombre es Anita García y yo vivo en Distrito 5. Yo hablo mixteco. Yo bashindo ka anduanya tanya kuya ni aran renta ta yo va cuando no iraña bichiraña shenia aku renta tu imiji kusini jinya. Sha uniyora y mismo cha viviña renta no iraña di yora ta yo sandana renta raña yo uniyo yoraña ko cha bikiña de mismo va aquí na no iraña kan ya sin kana in 120 no iña no renta raña 120 kan cha viña recibo luz sha ña chinye kwa kan YouTube re ka kuno kusin ya ninduña ni renta nanda na mabe kunindu na kindo es insaba tun sanda tana takun kuiara nenta lo ochaba na sanda na sundi no kuiara tanu ya chirata yo sanda de no ira bichra kusini ji shamis mucha viranyaka ya so cha vivando ya so ndo tu vando ji nya bashindo kunindu nya nanda ka renta va. Gracias.
Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Anita Cortés. Y venimos a pedir, a compartir un poquito de nuestras experiencias. El año pasado sí nos estaban aumentando cada mes y en el año que pasó, este año que pasó, ya han sido 3 meses que no nos han subido la renta y incluso nos regresaron $120 y eso lo estoy utilizando para pagar el recibo de la luz y estamos pidiendo que no lo cambien porque cada año sí nos estaban subiendo y ahorita ya no nos están subiendo y han pasado 3 meses y estamos exigiendo porque nosotros también trabajamos en el campo, pero sí hemos visto que ya no nos están subiendo, entonces estamos pidiendo que no lo cambien. Y gracias a todos por escuchar.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Anita Cortez. I just want to share my experiences I've been having. Before they were increasing my rent every month, they were increasing it for the past 3 months. After the implementation of the rental ordinance, they haven't been increasing. They actually gave me money back. I've been using that to pay my bills for the electricity and for water. I am a field worker, and this dramatic help really helps me pay my rent and my other bills. I would like to thank you guys and plead for you all to please keep the rental ordinance in place. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Sí, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Carlos de la Cruz Navas, pero yo vengo del Distrito 5 y yo hablo mixtecos. Yabashi, Kaishindo Kuya, Sha renta, Kuya Varatayo, Tayo, cuando haya vi renta, no, yo te cocan hasta son chavish, cachinho y campo, Cascanayo, 16 horas, 8 horas, ta ko canasta son ya chaviu ta ya shkwai 3 meses chira così ci no lo renta no yura sha canasta son lo chaviu recibo luz ako lo chavino basura ko lo to chavino seguranza carro ya ko chquano shini o shin yura ka nada mana ya kuya yo ochi na meno lo na ko chavino renta ci così ya sha dia anya meno chavino renta ya kana dai achquana familia yo ko paisano yo sawana rashak kuna chko kana ta una chavina renta renta ni carro kishna savara ya ka chindeta ando shindo ako imudo na chavino su kisha completa do chavi bando su ya ko kana ta ko undo chavino ra tamillo na ko nanda nam mando che yo bashiu ka yo shindo te chavi bando.
Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Carlos de la Cruz Nava. Hablo mixteco y hoy vengo a hablar de la renta. Antes no me alcanzaba mucho para pagar la renta porque cada mes nos subían la renta. Y yo trabajo en el campo y hace ya 3 meses que no nos han aumentado la renta. Y gracias a eso ya puedo ahorrar para pagar la luz o cubrir otros gastos que tengo como de la aseguranza de carro, también de la basura. Y estamos felices de que haya pasado esta estabilización y conozco a varios paisanos que han optado por vivir en carros porque no les alcanza para pagar una vivienda digna. Entonces venimos aquí a pedir que no quiten la estabilización y tampoco que le hagan cambios. Y estoy agradecido también con ustedes y gracias por escucharnos.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Carlos Nava from District 5. I'm here to speak about the rental. I just want to let you guys know that before they were increasing my rent every month. For the past 3 months, they were increasing it constantly. I'm a field worker and we do get paid low wages, so it's a little harder. Now with this rent ordinance that was implemented, they haven't increased it monthly, and now I can afford to pay my other bills such as electric, water, and gas. We are happy with the help that has been provided us, and we implore and ask you guys to please maintain the rental ordinance in order for us to keep living in our homes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, just a quick note, the gentleman in the back with the sweatshirt, we'll go over the 45 minutes, but you'll be the last speaker for public comment before we go to Zoom. Okay, that counts, but okay, then you'll be the last one. Are you Zooming? Okay, whatever you're comfortable with, but you'll be the last public comment if you decide to appear in person. All right, go ahead.
Good afternoon, City Council, Mayor Donahue, Luis Chago Juarez for Building Healthy Communities. Born and raised here on the east side of Salinas, and just sharing what I expressed to you when we got to meet up at your meeting, your meet and greet back in July, how exciting this moment really, truly is to have property owners, landlords, and to be present at the previous meeting, and for the engagement, the potential engagement of the tenants, of their tenants, people who are occupying the units, to be in this conversation that it's taken so long to participate in, to actually enact and activate, as I know you mentioned, since 2008, the conversation about the housing development has taken place here in Salinas, that we've been facing this issue. 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, the City Council that year actually approved a unanimous vote of approval of AB 1492, I believe it was, an advocate bill that would advocate for tenants at that time. And then 2023, that's when the City Council had approved of the rental registry. And here we are now. We're going to make this happen. I know you said win-win. Councilwoman De La Rosa, you said there's got to be a win-win. Win-win. That's what we want to hear, and that's what it's going to take for all of us united, Salinas, strong. Right, Jose? There it is. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jason Pineda. I live in District 5. I won't take much of your time tonight. I'm just here to speak about the proposed sewage hikes that I heard about recently on Facebook and Instagram. I just wanted, I don't know, I haven't had time to really research what the exact details of the proposed increase are, but I just want to emphasize that, and as some of the council members have mentioned, there's an awareness that it will affect people on a fixed income and seniors in a maybe more strongly than other people. And I just want to ask the city council to make sure that they're paying extra attention, that the tax increase if it passes, it'll be applied in an equitable and fair way. Just like the way I saw, well, I'll just leave it at that. I just want to make sure that the tax increase, which is probably needed, is applied in a fair way, and people are not having their fees raised unfairly compared to other people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and everyone here tonight.
You want to pull the mic down just a little bit? Yeah, thank you.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
My name is Martha, and I am a landlord with properties in East Salinas. I'm here tonight not just as a property owner, but as someone who has poured her heart and soul into this community for 30 years. My late husband and I started with a dream to take neglected, rundown properties and turn them into something more safe, clean, welcoming homes where families could feel proud to live. This wasn't just a business for us. This was personal. We raised our own family there so they could, and while welcoming other families to find a place they could truly call home. I'm here tonight so that you can add to repeal this is why I'm here respectfully asking the council tonight to please add the repeal of the rent as stabilization ordinance to a future agenda. I am asking for the chance to work together to find solutions that truly support tenants and the small local landlords like myself who care deeply about this community. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Martha. Okay. Hi, Eric.
Good afternoon. My name is Eric Peterson, and relevant to this is that I was on Police Community Advisory Committee for about 20 years. The second time I was appointed was, excuse me, second time I was by Tony. You swore me in the second time, and I was originally appointed by Steve Ish, which is quite a group.
You are dating yourself.
Well, I'm an old guy, older than you. Anyway, according to the schedule, huh?
He's only speculating.
No. According to the schedule for Salinas meetings, the PCAC meeting for April has already been canceled. This must be some kind of record. It was canceled as of last week was when I noticed. When I asked the police chief why there had not been PCAC meetings for 6 months, he said he was thinking about it. There's really not much there to think about. PCAC has been a part of Salinas government for over 30 years. No problems, nothing to be afraid of, just a few hundred Salinas residents, including Steve McShane, contributing to our city, like so many other committees and commissions. Marianne was on PCAC longer than I was. Marianne, the queen of ride-alongs. There's still time to uncancel the April meeting. We should do so. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
I've already mentioned to you guys before about our insurance going from $2,500 a year to $16,000 a year. There is a lot of increases on landlords Also mentioned to you guys about tenant that moved out, single mom with 2 twin daughters, and it costs over $10,000 to get that ready to rent back out. For 7 years, I don't think she ever cleaned and thrashed the walls and everything. And now I got another tenant, single, was a man and a woman and their 2-year-old son. He took off and she stayed, and I told her, I said, you're not gonna be able to afford this on your own. So she did move out, and I kept trying to meet her. She's supposed to be out in the 2nd, so we finally met Thursday evening after 8 o'clock. She has crazy working hours. So I showed her areas that she still hadn't cleaned. Every kitchen drawer had something in it. Every cabinet had something in it. Crumbs or whatever. I said, this wasn't here when you moved in. You have to have this the condition it was when you moved in. Well, she started getting upset, and then Friday, she said she wanted to keep the keys, and Friday she'd finish everything up. She never contacted me Friday. I texted her, which I have copies of her texts also. Finally, Saturday morning, she said she left the keys in, thanked me for giving her a chance, and she left the front door unlocked. I'm like, oh no. So I booked over there, and first time my folks have had rental properties, 60 plus years, she actually keyed the living room walls. She keyed the kitchen cabinets. I went to PD yesterday. I was hoping to catch the chief here to find out what can and can't be done. This is probably going to be another $10,000. So when you have people come up here and say their grievance, there's another side to the coin. And I hope you guys are really taking that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, Councilman, Councilwomen, too. I would like the city council to give me back my 25 cents that all the residents of Salinas wanted for their roads. And I cannot believe that this council took that away, because the last thing that gets fixed for the city are the roads. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon, City Council members, Mr. Donahue, and the new council members. Nice to see you again here, Rosa, Gloria. And so yes, I'm here just because I hear some comment that you're thinking to review the stability ordinance, and I'm really, really concerned about that. I knew that at one point it has to be reviewed, but I think you're coming to review as soon you get here. So I hope that you're going to take attention to the needs of our community, because to pass this ordinance, it wasn't a struggle for the whole community. To convince the city council to approve this ordinance, for the first time in my life, I didn't say my name is Sabino Lopez, but most of the time here in Salinas, more than 50 years as a resident and living here, I haven't seen any help for the residents, for the tenants. And I think so for years and decades, it's the first time one city council member decided to do something to help our community. Not everyone. There are only all apartments that have been built before 1995, not the new ones, not the new projects, not the new houses or apartments. So yes, I'm here to ask you, please review that one, but be fair and treat and think about those needs in our community. We are here to work and keep doing to improve the housing condition, promote affordable housing, like a CCA been done for years. And we're here to do that too, but don't forget that there is a specific community that needs really help now, because they've been receiving rent increases every year without any cause, with any reason, evictions when they complain, something like that. So I think it's time to keep that one and improve it as possible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. We'll go ahead and finish up these two, and then you can decide if you're a Zoomer or in person. All right.
Hi, I'm here to speak on behalf of landlords. My husband stated, I spoke to him, he brought this up the other night, the Constitution, the Fifth Amendment, has a takings clause. And where they cannot take your personal property without giving you something back for it. That includes the cash in your pockets that they want to charge you for joining the Salinas Register of Apartment Owners. So it makes it unconstitutional, I believe. Need to do further research, but that's what I hear. The gentleman, one of the ones before me, mentioned insurance. I have a unit in Salinas that no one wanted to insure me for. I was through State Farm and they canceled me in November of last year. I was paying about $2,000 something a year for this property. Guess what I'm paying now? $7,618.08. It tripled. Everything else, PG&E went up 13%. All my costs keep going up, and I have to pass that along. And with your new rental control ordinance, I can't. I mean, this is my mistake. I didn't raise my rents when I should have enough because I like my tenants. And they're, but now I have to raise them, and I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I've seen signs around town where property owners who own apartments, multi-family units, I've seen for sale signs. So it looks like the writing's on the wall. And it's not gonna be good because, you don't have a place where all the people gonna go.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir, you're up.
Hello, my name is Hap Albers. I'm a real estate broker. I specialize in selling apartment buildings, usually 5 units and above. I've been doing this for 20 years here in Salinas. In your ordinance that was passed in the fall, in the second section, which seems to be a pretty important one, since it says reasonable rate of return to the landlord. It says such an increase is found to be determined to provide a just and reasonable return on landlord's property, and has been adopted to encourage good management, reward efficiency, and I want to emphasize this, discourage the flight of capital, as well as to commensurate with returns and comparable investments. So I sell apartment buildings, and the feedback on this, on your ordinance, is basically this. I will not invest money in Salinas. You go show me any market other than Salinas. I will not. I'll go to Gilroy, Castroville, I'll go to Fresno. I'm not buying in Salinas. There's no frickin' way I'm buying in this city, not with 1.5% rent increases. This gentleman over here just talked about sewage. The sewage bills blow through any potential rent increase, not to mention your $175 per unit fee per year blows through any potential rent increases. One of the people I called this week said, Hap, why would I buy a depreciating asset? I can go do that buying a Honda. And now you're going to depreciate all of your real estate in this city. Another investor I have said, the city council is nuts. They're wrecking their housing market. Not only does this, I understand why the rent increases. I get rent increases in the building I'm in. But this is going to discourage investment and so on.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. All right, in person.
Good afternoon, everybody. City council members, mayor, city manager, city attorney, Jose Guerra, Montevilla community. I'm here to let you guys know that we need to do something with Salinas. It's deteriorating. We're voting on things without thinking about it. We're spending money we don't have. We're having people come up here and talk about rent stabilization and rent increase and property increase, property tax increase. But what are we doing about it? What is Salinas doing for the residents? What are you doing for us? You get paid to serve us. And I don't see a good return on the money I'm investing. And I'm not belittling you guys or talking bad to anybody or trying to talk down to you, but these people come here and spend time here to try to talk to you, and it feels like You guys have headphones on or something, you're not listening. You need to listen to the public. This is our city. Doesn't belong to you. You work here. Remember, you get paid now. Do your job. Just like that. I'm gonna tell you, Mayor, do your job. Mr. Mendez, do your job. City council members, do your job. City attorney, do your job. And Chief of Police behind me, do your job. You guys get paid good money. Do your job. Public servants, you need to respect the public. You need to take criticism the way it comes, whether you like it or not. I don't care if you don't like what I say. You shouldn't care what people say, but you should listen, pay attention, and help them. That's what you get paid to do. So when these people come over here and talk to you, the public, you need to listen, guys. Come on. Please pay attention. Be humble, be respectful, and listen to everybody here, because you all get paid good money. I mean, it might not be a lot of money, but it's decent money for what you do. You know, please reach out to your communities. Reach out to everybody out there. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
All right. With that, any public comment on Zoom?
Yes, Audrey Wardwell, 2 minutes.
Audrey, you're on.
Audrey, 2 minutes.
Good evening.
Audrey, you're breaking up.
We'll come back to Ms. Wardwell.
Yeah.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
It's you.
Yes,
we
2
can.
minutes.
Thank you so much. Good evening, City Council, Mayor, and City Manager. I'm Audrey Wardwell, a property manager in the area. I represent property owners who have just had to pay over $13,000 in registration fees for one multifamily property to comply with the city's rental stabilization ordinance. In addition, they had a loss in over $12,000 in rental income due to the mandated rental rollback. Looking forward, they are facing an additional annual loss of $65,000 in utility reimbursements, bringing the grand total reduction in income to more than $90,000. What does this mean for renters? This kind of dramatic loss in revenue does not exist in a vacuum, guys. It results in deferred maintenance, reduction of services, and in many cases, forces owners to leave the market entirely, which in our last meeting, I let you know of over 120 units that I'm aware of. This will ultimately cause tenant displacement, further tenant displacement, and sharp rental increases in the future when fewer units are available. This is not the goal for Salinas. We need to be increasing our inventory. I respectfully ask the City Council and Mayor to revisit the rent stabilization ordinance now. The unintended consequences are mounting, and if we do not course correct, the people and policies aims to protect could be the ones that most harm it. And to my fellow property owners out there, if your property has lost value as a result of these policies, I strongly encourage you to apply for a decline in your property's assessed value under Proposition 8. The application and instructions can be found at the Monterey County's assessor's website. Let's work together for policies that protect renters and preserve housing providers. Thank you so much.
Okay, Luis
Luis
you're up.
Vallejo, 2 minutes.
Oh, there we go. Good afternoon. I'm Luis Vallejo. I've been a landlord in Salinas for 50 years, and I'm against this rent stabilization or rent control. Ultimately, it results in a reduction in my property values. For example, my apartment buildings are valued based on rents received. My property value is being artificially reduced through below market rents, and this is a form of eminent domain, with the expectation of economically benefiting the public. In a free housing market, we have had past tenants that have left our units to purchase their own homes, and we were encouraged by these periods of our expanding economy. If a tenant wishes to purchase a home in the future, they will be disadvantaged, not experiencing real market expenses. They will be incentivized to never leave a rental or attempt to improve their situation. For example, I have a tenant that pays $700 less than his neighbor for the exact same unit. We choose to be a positive value in this business and look forward to passing this opportunity to our children. The present state-instituted rent control on our multifamily apartments has forced us to increase rents to the dictated levels in fear of surprise increases in operating costs. The fear also reduces incentives to add, improve, or build more rental inventory. We prefer an incentive to continue to create more rental units when the market is not favorable to buy or build. We have normally made improvements in our existing properties, and now that intent is being economically diminished. Today, uncertain impacts of rent control, operating costs such as insurance that tripled these last few years, or even increasing costs of water, power, sewer, garbage, other
Okay.
services.
Very good.
reduce the-
Okay, thank you. All right, and then we'll jump to Liz, and that'll be the last Zoom comment. Liz, you're on.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say congrats to Frank and Mary Bustos. I have known them since 1988, which is so weird because I keep saying I'm 26 years old. I know their hearts are huge, and I am so happy they're getting this recognition. So congrats. Today, I'm calling on behalf of the Salinas American Little League Board. We want to say thank you to our city manager, the hardworking Parks Department staff, and everyone that has been out lately to Gene Robertson Park. The park is looking great. Maintenance has been done, and it's on routine schedule. So thank you, thank you. Thank you also to Councilmember Barrera for coming out to throw a first pitch of the Gonzalez versus Indians game. It was great having you, Tony. I am so sorry to say, however, that we're not actively recruiting for pitchers, so I hope you didn't quit your day job. Your attire was on par, though. To end this call, I would like to thank the 4 city council members and Mayor Donahue and all the city staff that attended yesterday's event at Closter Park. Closter Park is the heart of East Salinas, a huge part of my childhood and a treasure open space for everyone. So thank you for showing support and respecting the community that live there. Have a great evening, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Liz. Okay, and with that, public comment is closed. And we will proceed to the city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members, do any of you have any campaign contributions to disclose related to any item on today's agenda? Councilmember Barajas? No. Councilmember Barrera? No. Councilmember Diarigo? No. Councilmember De La Rosa? No. Councilmember Salazar? No. Councilmember Sandoval? No. And Mayor Donahue?
No. Thank you. Okay, thank you. All right, we will now proceed to the consent agenda. Matters listed under the consent agenda may be enacted by one motion unless a member of the council requests a separate vote or discussion. Members of the public may comment on the consent agenda items collectively during their public comment. Would any council member like to separate, call out any particular item of the consent?
Just 25-114.
25-. Okay, is there a 104? That says 114, okay. All right, anyone else? Councilmember Barrera?
067, 113, and 114.
Okay. All right, Councilmember Sandoval, did I see your hand?
067.
Okay. Okay, all right, and to my left. Sure.
095.
095 for Aurelio, okay. All right, okay, Margaret, I saw you leaning in.
No, nothing to pull.
Okay. Gloria?
114.
114, okay.
And Mayor, City Clerk, We're going to go ahead and table the minutes, so the ID number 25-094 will be tabled, and we'll bring those back at our next meeting.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, then let's jump to 67 and council members Barrera and Sandoval. Tony? You come. No, you.
We will, so we will go ahead and take the questions and comments from the council now, and then we will open it up for the public.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and open it up to the public and give anybody in the public an opportunity to speak on consent.
Yeah, I have a real script here. You're throwing me off. Okay. All right. But I appreciate your enthusiasm as a resident of this city. All right, Tony?
Yes, thank you. Ms. Lundquist, I was going to ask you, what, as I'm looking at the numbers here, the finances, explain to us, even though I met with the city manager already, just tell us how much we're paying Smith and Enright Landscaping and how much we'll be paying them extra, and then I'll go into my other questions.
So the current annual amount is $640,251, and we had, through an amendment number 1, we added additional work for $50,000. This amendment takes us to $703,057 annually for the first year, and then the second year, with the addition of Ensign Community Park, we'll see an additional $18,000 on that, on top of that 703.
Okay. So at this time, once Gloucester Park closes, we won't be...
Correct. The very first year, even though we are accepting Ensign, we won't see an increase in the cost because of Gloucester Park being closed down for about 18 months.
Ms. Lundquist, I was going to ask you, is it more cost-effective keeping Smith and Enright versus hiring additional maintenance staff?
So I have not done that full analysis. I think that's something, if the council so chooses, we could do that analysis around staffing and equipment that it would cost to do the annual operation of the mowing and other services that Smith and Enright provides.
Yeah, I'm going to be asking that during our budget meeting, so I'd like to hear more about that in our budget session. You mentioned here in the report facilities. What are facilities?
So in addition to the parks, they also mow and do landscape work around City Hall, the library, the 2 libraries, John Steinbeck and Cesar Chavez, as well as the Recreation Center on Lincoln Avenue.
Okay. You know, I was at Natividad Creek Park. How often does every park get mowed? Because I noticed at Natividad Creek Park, there's areas that are mowed and then there's other areas that are not.
So during the active growing season, which is March through October, the parks are mowed weekly, and then during November through February, they're mowed every other week. I will say that when we do have a weather event and there's rain, that can throw off that mow schedule because they can't put their equipment on the turf in the rain or until the ground has dried. So there can be some shifts in that mow schedule.
Yeah, and with that said, if somebody can just look at the basketball area, the volleyball area of Natividad Creek Park, I'd appreciate that. The amphitheater at, I know there's going to be an amphitheater at Gloucester Park, but who cleans the amphitheater at Natividad Creek Park? Who cleans that?
So the litter abatement and those kinds of things are handled by park maintenance, not necessarily by Smith and Enright.
Okay, so your staff does that. You mentioned in the report 4% cost of living increase. How much would that be? What are we paying? This is not like a COLA or anything like that, is it?
No, so it was provided for in the original agreement, and so that's 4% over a 2-year period. So it equates to about 12 to 14,000, something like that, in each year.
Okay. You know, in Montevideo, there's been a couple of times when we do have an unhoused gentleman that does leave quite a bit of debris within the bushes. As Smith and Enright is cleaning the bushes, will they also be picking up, if they see anything like that, debris of like a little housing encampment?
So they would likely work with our staff, and we are working very closely with an interdisciplinary team within the city to address hotspots for dealing with issues with unhoused.
Thank you. And my last question is, did the Library and Community Services Commission, did they have any input on this?
So this item did not go before the Library and Community Services Commission.
Thank you.
Yeah, what parks, I know you mentioned some of the properties that Smith and Enright cleans up, but is it just specific parks or, is it citywide?
It's citywide, and we have 45 different sites that they go to on a rotational basis for each day.
Okay, maybe you could provide that list. I was curious
Sure.
what sites in District 5 that they service.
I'd be happy to provide that with you in writing, but also just to give you a heads up, on Monday they go to Northgate and Northgate Tot Lot, and then on Fridays they're at Santa Rita and Soto Square.
Great, thank you.
Aurelio, you were interested in 95?
Yes. It's not a question. It's a comment. No, and actually, staff probably doesn't even need to come up if you're coming up for that. No, I just wanted to thank City Manager. I had a couple of questions regarding the budget appropriation increase of $400,000 to fund 2513. I just had questions about the outreach side of it. You were able to clarify that prior to tonight's meeting, and just wanted to thank you for your quick responses to my questions.
All right, Tony, we are back to you on 113.
Thank you. I want to make sure I got the right one here. Okay, thank you. Ms. Horta Gallegos. Ms. Horta Gallegos, I believe then the 7,000 that the council put out for the recruitment and retention, I guess that was very helpful, was it?
It certainly was. It was helpful in having more, it helped with the number of applications. Since the recruitment and retention incentive was approved over an 11-month period, we received 150 more applications than we had the prior year without it. Unfortunately, we still saw some resignations, even with the recruitment and retention incentive.
And that's what I was going to ask you. The report calls for there was 263 applicants, but evidently things happened and 41 were invited for the interview, and then it kind of started going down. Some of these folks that applied, whether there was little dings in their application or whatever the situation was, will they get another bite at the apple, as they say? Will they be able to better themselves in whatever area it was that they weren't accepted to be able to come and apply again?
We always share with applicants that if they were disqualified somewhere along the line, whether it was for an incomplete application or they missed their interview or for whatever reason, they are encouraged to reapply.
And if I understand this report correctly, what is the police service technician? I guess you're looking for a senior and a supervising. Is it 3 positions or 1 position?
We have a series, which is a group of classifications that provide similar duties, but they're broken down could be broken down based on level of supervision, complexity, or tasks involved. But we do have three positions in the series. The police service technician is the entry-level position where we typically receive applications from external applicants, and the 2 other positions, the senior police service technician and the supervisor, are usually filled internally through promotional opportunities.
Yeah. I noticed 6 of the people that applied, while they were going through the process, they withdrew. Do you know why they withdrew? I mean, was it salary, or maybe they got offered another position?
Two of the most recent withdrawals cited wages as one of the primary reasons for withdrawing. Sometimes it's because of the length of the background process, or they they find other employment. I would like to share, for instance, we have a continuous recruitment. We're recruiting for these positions year-round, and we're interviewing about every 2 months. And we actually had interviews today. We invited 13 applicants to interview. Only 11 responded and scheduled an interview. Out of those 11, 4 no-showed. They didn't show up. And out of the 7 that ended up interviewing, only 3 will be moving forward.
Wow. Gotta be smart for that, huh? What exactly does a service, I mean, it sounds police service technician, what is that?
The police service technician is a non-sworn position that provides clerical, administrative, technical support within the department. It receives and processes crime reports, traffic reports. One of the primary functions is radio assistance to officers that are out in the field. So for instance, if an officer has someone that's detained or pulled over, they may be calling into the department, radioing into the department and having information pulled for them. And the police service technicians interact with the officers as they are out in the field, providing critical information to them.
And my last question, you're asking, I believe the recommendation is you're asking for 13% increase. In dollars, what does that look like?
It's a little over $3 an hour. This is an immediate initial step. We understand these positions are difficult to fill. They have a long 12-month probationary period, and we surveyed our comparator agencies for the same classification, and found with our most recent survey in February that the base salary for this position was, I believe I stated 29.35% behind the market. We took the average of 11 comparator cities, and the city top pay was 29.35% below the average of all these cities. So because we are losing applicants through the recruitment process, through the background process, we felt that we need to take immediate action to address the compensation to try and fill these positions while we conduct an additional review to make sure that our job description is capturing all of the duties, and that we can review and determine whether this recommended wage increase is appropriate or whether or not it needs to be adjusted further.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, item 114, Councilmember.
All right, thank you. With this one, I have just a few questions and some comments. In terms of questions, I know this is in support of an assembly bill to kind of revert back to, status quo a few years back in terms of prostitution and the jurisdiction's ability to bring about enforcement. What has the city been doing in the past few months that has been, in my opinion, delivering very visible and tangible results in supplement to seeking support for this assembly bill?
Yeah, good question. So as you know, stated on the report, law enforcement at the moment is tied up. Their hands are tied up as far as enforcing the soliciting of prostitution. So in the meantime, I want to take this opportunity to thank Commander Warner, who has spearheaded, and I know he's been working collaboratively with city leaders, our city directors, community leaders, there's our own city attorney, to come up with solutions. We're talking about more patrols, getting the public involved, more lighting. These are all things that we're thinking out of the box in order to diminish the sex workers out in their communities. So, this bill will assist us further into be able to contact these sex workers, because many of them, not all, are victims of sex and human trafficking. So part of this bill is that it will allow us to provide those services and resources to these sex workers who are actual victims of sex trafficking or human trafficking. So if hopefully this bill passes, it will definitely assist law enforcement. As mentioned, it's not just a Salinas issue, it's a state issue. And that's why we have to work, collaborate as a community to tackle this situation. So, yeah.
Thank you. No, I'm really happy to see this come forward before the council, and I hope we are able to, once again, support this type of work unanimously. I grew up in North Madeira for most of my life, so this issue of prostitution is very real and very tangible and personal to me. Growing up, it was 6:37 in the morning, and we're over on Carr Street, and we'd have, prostitutes walking around, and as a child, you're just wondering, like, why aren't they cold, But in terms of quality of life, this really affects the quality of life of the residents, of the children. You're not allowed to go out and play as you'd like to, even though you have Cesar Chavez Park, because of the nature of the activity that's going on in the community. You're not able to actually use those facilities and take advantage of that, right? So just really excited to see this move forward. And I would just continue to support and advocate for policies that enhance the well-being of our community members and their public safety and their overall mental health.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Well, you know what I think?
It's me?
No, Tony then.
Oh,
The other Tony.
all right.
Actually, the last council meeting, there was a lady from that area that really complimented the police department for being progressive on this issue. So thank you for that. Something is working. My question is here, loitering. Now, I understand when it comes to this kind of work, even though there's people that are being violated, you actually have to give people, and I'm talking about doing a misdemeanor, you have to catch them in the act of some kind of exchange, am I right?
Correct. Yeah.
So when it comes to loitering, could it just be an individual that a police officer passes by and, oh, she looks like she's there working in the corner? Would that be considered loitering?
Yes, I mean, there's different circumstances. I mean, if we see a sex worker out there, depending on what they're wearing, they're waving down vehicles, coming up to the vehicles, talking to their clients, that in fact is soliciting for prostitution. And that way, this law will allow officers to contact those sex workers and determine whether they're, investigate further, determine if they're soliciting for the acts of prostitution.
Yeah, so it will give you some teeth then to be able to do something. Mr. Callahan, if the city council approves this recommendation, any idea once we vote on it, how long it takes at the state level, when it's going to be implemented?
It's hard to say, council member, because it does have to work through the process up in Sacramento. So it's hard to say when it would take effect if it's passed.
Yeah. So in the meantime, while we're waiting for the slow process, right now, are there things that you're doing now that maybe several months ago you weren't able to do that in this kind of business?
Correct, and I could defer to Commander Warner, since he has taken on the lead as far as finding solutions and working with the community as far as tackling the situation.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So what we've been doing since they repealed 65322 in 2023 with the Safer Streets for All Act, we've been using our city ordinance, which is 21-32B. It's an infraction. So unfortunately, we cannot arrest behind it. We can only cite. If they are cited 3 times within a 6-month period, the city attorney's office can file it as a misdemeanor, but we still have to address it as an infraction. So we have been working with the local hotels, the churches and businesses in the area to make sure they have the proper signage for human trafficking and trespassing so we can enforce those laws. We've also increased our patrols in the area and started enforcing anything we can. Traffic violations, pet in the roadway, blocking traffic, illegal parking. And again, we're working with the residents of the area to get more cameras in the area and work collaboratively to get those phone calls in and get in the area as quick as we can.
Thank you.
Councilmember De La Rosa.
Yes. Officer Werner, thank you so much, and Commander Bueno. I don't have questions. I want to congratulate you because the residents spoke up, okay, from that area, Casa de Maderas, the businesses. And you know what? I want to, again, repeat, Chief Acosta, yes, when we came to him with asking him, you know, what is going to be your solution to this problem? Well, we see it now. I think I saw one girl walking, and I couldn't believe it. And that was like maybe 2 weeks ago. So the numbers have gone down. That's what I've seen. And other of the businesses there, because they call me, and they were complimenting the police department and saying, you know what, Gloria? They are really doing a good job. The numbers have gone down, and boy, we need to support this bill. And what I really like about this bill is that we're remembering that those are young women that are being trafficked and that they will be able to get resources. So again, thank you very, very much. And I want to thank all the residents from that area that came and spoke up and said, we need your help. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gloria. All right, we will go out to the public. You have 2 minutes to comment on the, on everything.
Good afternoon, Jose Ramon, Tobacco Community. Mr. Donnie, we need more time than that. I mean, we discussed this all night. I mean, just your 067 amendment, that landscaping amendment, why don't we try a different company? Why haven't we looked into that? I mean, why do we go with the one company and stay with that? And then put demands like pick up all the garbage, not just, I see them take all the leaves, put them in one thing, and then they run them over with the machine, and then they blow them out to the street. That's on that. Okay, on the 095, the professional services for the historic, nobody talked about that. I mean, what's the plan on that? Nobody brought it up. Need more information. You guys put an amendment out there. Let's take a look at it. 113, classification salary. I mean, I'm for, getting more people to work here, but are we even compatible to other cities? Are we, I mean, who does all the processing? I mean, is the public involved to see what's going on with some of this stuff? I mean, I know some of it's top secret, but if you get the community involved, you get better results. I mean, that's just all the way down the road. And then on 114, I mean, I support it 100%, but you don't have a number here how much you want to spend and what you're going to do with it. You really don't have a plan. There's nothing here. So it's just a presentation, or do we have a tier step? Me personally, and that thing there, if they get cited, I bring them in, interview them, and maybe get them some help while you're there. You already got them in custody. They might talk, they might not. You never know. All right, just insight. Thank you, guys.
Okay,
Good
thank
luck.
you. All right, anyone else from the public on the consent agenda? All right, is there a Zoom on, let's see.
We have 2 on Zoom,
Okay,
Mayor.
Looks like,
Last 4 of the phone number, 2493. 2 minutes. iPhone 2493. 2 minutes for public
I'm
comment.
sorry. Hello?
are you
Hello?
there?
Yeah.
This is Yolanda Hayes.
Go ahead, Yolanda,
hear
2
me?
minutes. Yes, we can hear you. 2 minutes on consent
Okay.
agenda.
All right, yeah. This is in regards to the Enright and Smith consent agenda item. I'm just concerned with the work that they're doing or not doing. One is they blow all the leaves into the creek. They never pick them up. When they see broken branches, they don't do anything about it. They just leave them there. I don't know if they're responsible for that or who is responsible for the broken trees. The easiest thing that I see that they do is they chop down trees. I went down Independence and there was about 4 to 6 trees that they just chopped down. These trees are not maintained in anywhere in the area. This last month, I've seen them trimming the trees. But other than that, they're never treated, they're never inspected. And when they are dying, they just come and chop them down. So, I mean, we could do something better with that, to treating our trees instead of just letting them die. So I'm very concerned about that. Also, the Rivercross neighborhood has HOAs, and my understanding was that those fees were still being collected, but they had somehow been added to the public works budget, to a general fund, or I don't know what budget it is. But we still have an HOA here in Creek Bridge Rivercross, which is one of the very few neighborhoods that's not gated that has HOAs. The wall on Constitution, they've come and removed the graffiti. It's never been painted in the 25 years that the development was built. The iron fence on Lexington and Independence, the paint has all coming off. It just doesn't look presentable. And I think all our neighbors feel the same way. I've had requests, and I think they've submitted requests to get this done. So if you could please help us out with defining what Smith and Enright does. I did mention to a few people about the water leak that we had for one day. The water just swooshed out for about 4 hours. And
All right, thank you, Yolanda. All right, who do I have next? It ends with 4436. Patty, who?
Phone number 4436.
Okay, so good evening. I'm Eloise Shim, and I'm calling about the consent agenda item for professional services. And for professional services for the historic resources. So I'm the board member. I'm one of the board members on the HRB. And I just want to say that I do support the $400,000 for Page and Turnbull to update the survey, because there's a lot of information on there that is data that can be used, geographic data, besides just historic information that is beneficial to the city. And also I wanted to say that the Monterey Historical Society on Veranda Road, once a year they open their facility there, and they opened the interior section where the library is, where it was restored, and they let the public walk through it. They cordoned off a section so the public could walk through just once a year. And, you know, for the Republic Cafe in Chinatown, after 16 years, people should be able once a year to walk through that, since it's a national historic registry. So, you know, I really think you should put that on the front burner so that people can at least go in and look at it once a year. It should be safe enough. Even if it's not completely finished, it should be safe enough. So on the walking tour, people should be able to go in and look at it.
Okay, very good.
So
Thank
anyway,
you.
thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right. And Catherine, I think I can read the small print. You're on.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. I first want to just say I've been a resident of Monterey County my entire life. That would be 61 years. I think that there should be several bids instead of just Smith and Enright to make it more reasonable and possibly get it done cheaper. Secondly, I have a huge concern with the way the city manages our money, our tax-paying dollars. I have a tree in my yard that was planted by the city over 30 years ago. It's upturning my sidewalk so bad that someone's gonna fall and trip and they're gonna sue. Prevent lawsuits by fixing what you're supposed to fix with the money we pay in. Secondly, it's going into my sprinkler system in my lawn. So I did a work report. They canceled it and they told me it would be 20 years or I could pay 50-50. Yet they're doing other sidewalks in the southern Salinas area. That's not fair. And like I said, in all due respect, I have no faith in you guys managing the money because this city's a wreck. I think you need to start looking at the people who are in the higher paid, long-term employees and possibly see or check to make sure they're really doing their job. Maybe it's time to start demoting. That's all.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and close public comment and bring the consent agenda back for a motion to approve. Second. Got a first and a second, and we'll go ahead and call for the question.
Approving the consent agenda in its entirety with the exception of the minutes 094, which has been tabled. Councilmember Barajas?
Yes.
Councilmember Barrera?
Yes.
Councilmember Diarigo?
Yes.
Councilmember De La Rosa?
Yes.
Councilmember Salazar?
Yes.
Councilmember Sandoval?
Yes.
Mayor Donahue?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you, everyone. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and go to council member reports, appointments, and future agenda items. I will start with, to my right, Councilmember Sandoval.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I want to start off by, I guess there was some confusion about the audit committee for Measure G. I just received an email from somebody from Measure G and was saying that there was just the report was recently sent for the audit committee. And so there hasn't been an opportunity for the subcommittee meeting to happen prior to the Measure G meeting. It says the timeline is too short. So I'm a little concerned that the subcommittee may not be able to formulate that audit report prior to, I'm not sure if the legal requirement is in April or in May. So if I can get a follow-up on that, please. I attended the Cluster Park event. Man, great job to Kristen and the staff, and that was so exciting to see all those different folks there. And Tony found a great way to get the youth involved, bringing them up on stage. Great history on the Cluster family. I had a chance to attend the Health Academy and Senior Civic Engagement Projects. Teacher Madano Varela. I want to give a special shout out to students Irvin Oliveres and Sierra Solano. I want to share about some of their projects because I thought, man, these were some really impressive youth. There was a young lady who spoke, her presentation was titled More Than Just Pom-Poms. It was a cheerleader who found out that North Salinas High is one of the only schools that their cheerleading squad does not attend away games. And she did research and contacted other schools and found out they did. And so she followed all the steps, contacted the athletic director, and could find no reason why they weren't allowed to. She kind of felt discouraged, and I told her, you know, you may not be affected, but future cheerleaders who also put a lot of time and effort into it will be. So I encouraged her to continue. And I did find that unfair that only one high school doesn't have their cheerleaders attend away games. There was a presentation about mirror equity. Apparently there's not mirrors in the boys' restroom at North Salinas High School, but there are in the girls. Might not seem like a big deal to some, but you know, they have things like mock interviews coming up, and it's just not fair. And unfortunately, he didn't make a whole lot of progress with it. But they did research by contacting all the other schools and found out that only one other school didn't have mirrors in the boys' restroom. There was also issues with long lines during lunch, food and drink options. There was 3 ladies that spoke about how difficult it is to get people involved in their health academy and how people don't know what it means to be involved in their health academy and how frustrated they were at the lack of involvement. All things I recognize because as we can see by the people here, it's hard to get people involved in city government. But they came up with a plan for communication and they agreed that possibly free tacos may encourage folks to attend. So I just want to highlight some of their projects because I got really excited about the fact that they did so many follow-ups. Also, they emailed the city council, and it's a great way to hold us accountable because they actually printed the email they sent to the council members, and they also printed some council members who did not respond, so maybe we missed it. So I encourage you to respond because I saw my email and I'm like, thank God I responded. So please check your emails, but I want to talk about some of their projects really quick. They talked about some unsafe crosswalks and the fact that lights give you the go-ahead to cross the street, but cars also are given the go-ahead to turn left. So it's really dangerous, and I didn't know that was an issue. So they had some proposals about making possibly some crosswalks in front of those high schools where all 4 stops are all red so they can cross the street safer. Potholes, of course, food waste awareness. One student said, we are the salad bowl of the world. But we can't tell that with the access to food in our city. The fact that there may not be farmers markets across our city or maybe salad bars in all our schools. You know, it seems like we export plenty of salad, but maybe it's not accessible to all students. I talked about sex education, air pollution, drinking, insomnia awareness, stress management. There were some helpful tips. Mental health, concussion awareness, dental care, all kinds of important things. And what I want to say is when we respond to these emails or communications, it really means a lot to the students because it gives them hope that they're not just sending an email to the sky and hoping something changes. And my encouraging words to them was to be persistent and to continue getting involved. Really quick, I want to talk about, I got to keep getting calls about grass cutting at the skate park, I guess the hills, so maybe we can look at that. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Tony.
Thank you very much. I want to commend Ms. Kristen Lundquist. You know, the National Little League, in their new uniforms, they put Kristen Lundquist on their sleeve. And you know what, that's awesome because it shows the collaborative effort that you have with that team. And, you know, for them to have a coach, a young, she's a teacher, she's been the coach there for 25 years. Probably grew up there. And she's a young woman. So I commend you for your work with that group. Also, Mr. Callahan, Mr. Mendez, I'd like to remind you, we need to get the PCAC on track again, and hopefully we'll start working on that. And one last thing, I'm pretty excited, being that I'm your Monterey Salinas Transit representative on the Monterey County level. Let me share with you, sir, for those of you that are into this kind of stuff, if you guys ever need a ride on the MST, just let me know. But look at SURF, $25 million project that was approved. It's a project that includes a 6-mile dedicated busway along the publicly owned former right-of-way parallel to Highway 1. Goes from Marina to Monterrey. But you know, the awesome thing about this SURF project that's going to be happening, a lot of our people, residents here in Salinas, they work in Monterey Peninsula. So that's going to be able to help them get to their work faster. It's still a few years off, but we're pretty excited that it's coming together. And I just want to say your MST representative is on the ball. Right the bus.
You say so yourself. Thank you, Councilmember Barrero. Okay. Jose.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I have a few things I'd like to share this evening. So last Saturday, I had the pleasure of attending the Monterey County Fire Chiefs Association Gala, where we celebrated some truly outstanding individuals. I just want to give a huge congratulations again for like the 4th or 5th time, tirelessly to Ryan McCoubry for his recognition as Salinas Firefighter of the Year and Monterey County Firefighter of the Year. And a special shout out to Jose Guzman, who is a District 1 resident, a young man who was awarded the scholarship from the Salinas Firefighter Foundation and who will be attending MPC, Monterey Peninsula College's Fire Academy, and will hopefully be joining our ranks shortly thereafter. What else? And also just want to give a shout out and congratulations to firefighter Josh Hossiter, who will be recognized as Citizen of the Year by the Salinas Valley Chamber of Commerce this Thursday. Thank you, Josh, for all that you do. Also had the privilege of celebrating Transgender Day visibility with our community and fellow board members for Salinas Valley Pride at the Epicenter. Want to give a thank you to Sam Gomez from the Epicenter for accommodating us on such short notice, really. We ended up having to switch location from Central Park in a matter of an hour from 9 a.m. till 10 because of the rain that just kept on coming and going throughout the day. And tomorrow I'll be joining Speaker Rivas's Legislative Day in Sacramento, and I'm really looking forward to it, connecting with other local leaders in our region and getting up to speed on the pressing legislative issues that affect us here in Salinas. And you best believe AB 633 will be in that conversation. And over the weekend, Clave Especial, a homegrown grupo from Salinas, comprised with Alejandro Ahumada, the lead singer, and his cousin Leonardo Lomelí, the lead guitarist, performed alongside Fuerza Regida at the Fox at a sold-out concert in their own hometown. These young men are representing Salinas with pride and passion worldwide, bringing their music and Salinas to the global stage, and just want to let them know that we're rooting for them. And then lastly, on a more serious note, I just want to express my deep concern about the recent shooting at Acosta Plaza over the weekend. Of the 4 shootings that have been reported this year so far, this is the first one, from my understanding, that resulted in people being injured. There were 2 people that were being injured, and with public safety remaining a top priority, I just want to encourage anyone who saw anything to come forward and speak up. This really causes a lot of insecurity and fear within the community. There's a lot of recoil that happens shortly thereafter, right? People immediately stop going outside after certain hours, and just overall makes for an unhealthy environment to be in, both as a resident, as a student, a person who's trying to grow up in that community. Having that kind of insecurity is not fun, right? Again, I grew up in a time where Salinas, where like a young Latino boy was kind of the target for these types of issues. And it slowly but surely keeps feeling like it continues. It's almost cyclical, like it's coming back again. And just look forward to working with the community and our police department to bring peace and safety to Acosta Plaza and all our neighborhoods. And then just lastly, on an item to bring back for future consideration and conversation, would just be a discussion on sidewalk and tree liability at the city level. I know that potentially has some funds that could be freed up there, particularly with, I want to say that with the housing discussion that we'll be having soon, I want to make sure that we have all options on the table. And in that item, kind of correlate what could be done with any potential funds not used from sidewalk and tree maintenance to potentially a rental assistance program or something to that effect.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Aurelio.
Yeah, just want to thank the Salinas Police Activities League for organizing the Salinas Valley Toy Show. That was March 29th and 30th at the Salinas Powell Youth Center. Just really nice to see all the vendors and toy collectors and families out reconnecting with their childhood. I attest to that. Now, if you missed it, the Salinas Valley Toy Show will be coming back November 15th and 16th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. again at the Salinas Powell Youth Center. Also, just want to announce the appointment of Brian Contreras Jr. to the Salinas Airport Commission. And just want to also thank Monterey County Supervisor Glenn Church for reaching out to me to ask if I can join him on Wednesday, April 30th, 2025 at Everett Alvarez High School for a town hall meeting. I know that he will also be extending that invitation to our mayor. And then lastly, looking forward to attending the Salinas Valley Chamber of Commerce, their 104th annual awards luncheon, as mentioned, scheduled for this Thursday, April 10th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Sherwood Hall. See you there.
Okay. Gloria?
She left. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I attended the firefighters gala, but that same day, I want to thank all the staff, Parks and Rec, Amor Salinas, and we had a cleanup at Cesar Chavez Park. We had about 15 community members, and I want to thank everybody again for that. Kristen, thank you. Okay, so that was that. Then I attended the Solid Waste Executive Board meeting. I attended the Salinas Downtown Board meeting. I attended the opening to our Patrias, a fine dining restaurant that was put on by the Chamber. I also attended the North High Health Academy fair that they had last Friday. I was there probably about 3 hours, and I know Councilmember Sandoval, you also attended. And the seniors, they put on the civic rights projects, and the juniors did the health. And I was so glad to see all the projects, and I was so glad to hear that they were still talking about prevention of pregnancy, and they had their projects, the baby, I took a picture with the baby, and it was really neat to interact with all the students, and that they still talk about prevention of sexually transmitted diseases, okay? So I was so glad to go to each booth and learn about vaccines, what they were, presenting, and I asked a lot of questions. They gave me a lot of good feedback. They were really excited, and it was good to see the really high participation of the male student. So I was really glad that I attended, and I want to give a shout out to the counselor, Julie Cruz, and Stephanie Fernandez, one of the senior students that took me around. And I also want to say that they really talked about a lot of the civic projects that they're working on right now, and one of them is the street light for Mariel, the turn. So they're doing a petition, so I'm glad about that. Then what else? Let's see, the firefighters, all that, and yeah, things are coming up this week, and I encourage you, if you can, the community is listening, to attend the Hebron Heights Center, our Easter egg hunt that every year, and it starts at what, 11 or 12? 12? 12. So I encourage everyone. Also, the Compass Church is having their helicopter Easter egg drop Saturday. And yeah, so a lot of good things are happening. And again, Cluster Park. I want to thank all the staff. It was a beautiful event. And Councilmember Barrera, thank you. That's it.
Margaret.
All right. Last but not least, except for our mayor, of course. All right. So we've all been busy. I've attended most of the things I think you guys have mentioned. I'll add that the firemen really know how to have a good time. They work really hard, but I tell you what, when they get together, you could feel the love in the room and the camaraderie. It was absolutely awesome. I planned on sneaking out early, and I think I was one of the last to leave before the dancing started. So thank you for that invitation. It was really nice. Also, the chamber had ribbon cuttings, quite a few. The Fox mural, which I hope you've all seen in downtown Salinas, it's beautiful. Met the artist, and what a wonderful person she is. So happy to see that beautification happening. And also, I went to the one at Patria, where Mr. Amorium and Chef Aguilera were very gracious in feeding whoever came from the chamber. There are a lot of people that were not chamber members, I think, but they fed them all. And that was great. I really hope that people will support that restaurant. It's had so much turnover over the years, but it's a beautiful downtown location, and I hope that everybody will go out there and support them. Gloucester Park, yeah, Kristen, your team, fabulous. Most of us were there, it was really great that we could have a power in numbers. And of course, the Little League kids, they're just adorable. I remember those days, and I miss them very much. So great job, everyone. Tony, you're a good cheerleader, too. Did a great job up there. You didn't even have pom-poms, but you got everyone riled up. I've got a couple young men that I met that are going to do some ride-alongs. So I've been in contact with our chief of police. That's exciting that young people here are interested in what's going on and they want to learn more about it. And I bragged about the technology that we have and just what a great experience it is. So I'm working on setting those up. And then, let's see, I'll be going to the AMBAG meeting tomorrow night. That's my first one because we've had a few conflicts with travel and everything. So looking forward to getting involved with that group. That's why I won't be going to Sacramento, unfortunately. And then I am concerned about, I share your concerns about the commissions not meeting regularly. That's really disturbing to me. And I know I'm going to take it upon myself to reach out to my representatives from District 3, make sure that they're attending and that we have quorum, because it's really important work that they're doing. And I think the police one especially that has been kind of on hold for a long time. So I know you've heard that loud and clear. And then proclamations, I really wish we could put a little bit more design and love into our proclamations, or I'm not even sure what you call them all, but just a little green folder doesn't quite do it when everyone walks up with a beautiful frame and we're kind of like, eh. Yeah, so the county had a beautiful one with all different kinds of colors, so maybe down the road. I know resources are tight. We heard that loud and clear from everyone in this room tonight. I'm sure the community is concerned that, we have so much work to do and we have limited resources. So I think, as a council, we're dedicated to looking at everything that we spend, putting together a really good budget, and then really working hard going forward to see where we're spending that money, because it's going to become more and more valuable as time goes on. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Margaret. Just a couple of things. I'll, as I did last time, to the best I can, I follow everyone else around, and so you've already heard about those events. I do want to call attention to, and hopefully this will be a future City of Champion guest, Jesus Rucalva's card company, Paper Taco, which is on the Alisal. Those of you who watch Shark Tank, Mark Cuban invested in and took a position in a Salinas-based company. Now my personal prediction is this guy's the next Hallmark. That could be good for Salinas. We'll see. But I think that's certainly kudos to him, the company, and it's a great Salinas story. Local family business, folks worked in the fields, and he's busy being an entrepreneur, and he's already in downtown Salinas. And so those of you who like to Google, you can see his minute 50 clip on Shark Tank, and it's really good. So I want to call attention to that, and it's, I think, something folks in Salinas should be aware of. I would like to, I'll be appointing Julio Gutierrez to the Planning Commission. He'll be filling that slot. And I'm going to close with, this is my one comment. There's a lot of conversation about money and costs, and we're being told to do our job. After 4 months hanging out with this council, we are doing our job. This is a new council with a variety of experience, and we need to get to know the organization, understand the budget. As you heard Councilmember Barrera earlier in the evening, he's starting to ask specific questions about the budget, and I know talking with colleagues, we're all doing the same thing, and we need to go through the process in an orderly, methodical fashion. We understand the sense of urgency. We understand the things that this community is concerned about, and they have our full attention. And this is a council that will not be patient over the long haul with, if things need to change, we're not going to keep doing things the way we've always done them if they need to change. I'm quite confident in our ability to take a look at what's going on, particularly as it relates to infrastructure, and work closely with staff to orchestrate whatever changes we need to. But it will take a while. And the other thing we'll close with this: we are living in an era in terms of city finances and local governments when you have to begin to deal with delayed maintenance and infrastructure, that is a huge cost. And we are giving serious thought to how do we address that? And it is not ready, fire, aim. It is not drop everything you're doing and immediately do this tomorrow. We need to be strategic and intentional about that, and I believe we are. And we will be very clear on the game plan over the course of the next couple of weeks as we pass a budget, have the state of the city, and reach out to the community so everyone can understand what we're trying to do. Everyone may not like the answer, because some of the things we need to do are expensive. And we're going to get our arms, try and get our arms around that. And I know we're committed to not burdening Salinas residents any more than we possibly have to try and provide the quality of life that I know people want and expect. But I think we're going to be talking more and more about these things. But the public has their right to come in and say what they will, and I appreciate that. But I would simply submit, we are doing our job, and I think we hear whatever concerns about quality, and those points are well taken. They were all made, believe me, I made note of them. But I want folks to know that we are working hard. We're absorbing things, and things are now coming to the point where we've got to make some decisions. And I think it'll be clear that we are trying to orchestrate the type of changes that the city, that we're getting feedback that people have expectations on. So that will be my comment. And with that, there's a rumor we're going to be back here April 22nd and do it all over again. So with that, we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting.